How do you stay resilient when life changes you on the battlefield and beyond? Preventing veterans, leaders, and high performers, strength can become the armor we wear. We keep moving, we keep leading, we keep performing, but sometimes we keep suffering in silence. But real resilience is not about carrying everything alone. Today's conversation is about emotional armor, the seventh silent war. Mental health, gratitude, and leadership we're going to discuss as well, and the courage it takes to ask for help.
Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hey, everybody. So today we have a badass on. I'm just going to say it now. I'm going to say it out loud. Omar Ritter is a West Point graduate, combat veteran, entrepreneur, and CFO. He served as a scout troop officer in Iraq, earning a Bronze Star, Valor Device, and Combat Action Badge. After the military, Omar transitioned into finance and rose into $1 billion level CFO roles. His journey includes personal battles with PTSD, and we're going to dive into that today, and major health challenges that reshape how he sees leadership, resilience, and mental health. His message reminds us that strength is not just about enduring hardship. It's also about knowing when to ask for help. Omar, welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality. Tell us a little more about yourself, if you will.
Hey, Mike. Thank you for having me on the show. First and foremost, so extremely happy to be here. I mean, you covered a lot about me in terms of what I've done professionally, but from an individual standpoint, really, Mike, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to advance the conversation on
Mhm.
mental health, specifically, for folks that have served in the military, for folks that work hard every day in corporate America, and for those folks also that are leaders of their families and every day they go out and try to make life better for the people that are waiting on their support, and they ignore the stressors of themselves, right? So it's really for leaders of all type, military, corporate, family, and I'm just really trying to advance that conversation.
Absolutely love it, man. And I think it's important, right? Especially, that's why I focus on exactly that, the transition period. So again, you're the perfect guest for the show, so I appreciate it. I mean, that's one of the most important things, whether it's you're getting out of the military. I can't tell you how many people that I've worked with, veterans that I've worked with, that have said, man, if I would have known these things back then, you know,
True
it's
indeed.
it's I think it's so important that we really get this mission out there. And so again, I'm honored that you're on here to play with us today. Um, so let me ask you this. When you hear emotional armor, which is again the seventh silent war, what does that mean to you personally?
Emotional armor, it's just a tough exterior. It's putting on that tough exterior. I just redid the cover of my book, but my original cover was a golden bull and with the West Point cap on it. And the reason why I made that my original cover is because I felt like I was always hiding behind being this tough bull, bear in a china shop type of fella, talking about what I did at West Point, what I did in the military, etc. But on the inside, some days waking up, I was just getting crushed,
Yeah,
due to the pressure, due to the things that I was trying to achieve personally, always comparing myself to other folks. And so at some point, you hope you get to a point where you say, okay, enough is enough, right? I'm enough. I'm happy with where I am right now. And you try to move the ball forward in that way, right? So that emotional armor is really just acting like everything's all good when it's not.
yeah, absolutely. And what's funny is we really wear a lot of masks in life until
Hmm.
we don't, and we're just you know full of integrity and just ourselves. And people are going to love us or hate us or whatever the case may be, but we're living fully in integrity. And I think that's kind of the game changer, right? Because again, we wear so many damn masks in life,
Mm-hmm.
depending on who we're playing with, dealing with, all the different stuff. So let me ask you this, and I think it's really important because for the podcast, we always try to go, hey, what did I struggle with? Crack the light open to it, and then how did I get past it, right? And how did I move
Mm-hmm.
forward and thrive?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about your story a little bit. I mean, when did you notice that you were wearing that emotional armor?
Great question. So for me, I noticed that I was wearing this emotional armor all the way back in 2004
Mm,
when I came back from Iraq.
yeah.
And so the way that I sort of covered myself was being the life of the party guy,
Mm,
showing up to different events, always bringing the fun with me, right? And I talk about it in my book. I would stay out till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. at night on a Tuesday. Like that was nothing to me while I was in the military. Go to work at 6 a.m. the next day, do physical training. I mean, at the time I was running, 2 miles in 11 minutes, 30 seconds, all going off a 3 hour sleep, all to do it again just the next day, right?
mm,
And so I knew that I had an issue. Now, did I want to address my issue? Not really. And so what happened to me is I just got this new group of friends and we'd hang out all the time and I'd do everything except be left to my own thoughts.
mm.
So that's really how I hid not only from, people on the outside, but from myself as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to bring some thoughts to that. When for the audience specifically, is how many of you see yourself in what Omar is talking about right now? How many of you are doing exactly what he did? I did it. I did it. I'll admit it. So
Right.
it's I think it's super important. And thank you for being vulnerable and obviously sharing that, because I think it's super important. So when we move from that, and when you're like, hey, something's not cool here and I need to make a change, what was it? Because usually we make change with the pain pleasure principle, right? How much pain do I have to go through to get to pleasure? And so something obviously hit. So can I ask you to be a little vulnerable on this one too, and tell me, what was it that said, shit, something's got to change now? Because that's when real change happens.
So before I can actually answer that question, I gotta tell you, I knew something was wrong in 2004 and I actually didn't get any treatment until 2024.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about, a 20-year time span. So
Mhm.
a lot of things change. One is that the black hair turned gray, and now you see a lot of it's white, right? So that was a big change.
I got
I
you. I
was
got you.
Yeah, exactly. I was very successful in corporate America at my jobs. I was the guy that could stay up all night, crank out a financial model,
Right.
look at your company, tell you how to do M&A deals, etc. And so that was all going very well for me. Picked up my CPA, went to Columbia, got my MBA, started working on my doctorate. Had several promotions along the way. Had the opportunity to be a CFO of a multinational division of $1 billion revenue generating shop. And look, these are all highlights, and I was doing quite well. But it took me over time to hit rock bottom because the issue that I was having, and I say that this is I call this a first world issue, is that I could almost out party and outpay and outpay my negative feelings. So if I'm feeling bad, let me just hop on a plane, go somewhere, have some fun, and then I'll come back and deal with reality for 3 or 4 months, and then I'll go someplace else, have a great time, and come back and deal with reality, right? And so for me, just to be very specific to answer that question, time stopped when I had my child, right? So I had a daughter in 2022, right? So that daughter is now 3 going on 4, and that's when I realized, you know what? I can't keep doing this. One, I'm getting a bit older, so I can't be the fun guy anymore. Like you can't be fun guy looking like this, right? You just, it would be hard. You'd be the old man wherever you are. And so
you can, Omar. You
you can, you
just in
you
a
you
different way.
you can in a different way, right? But then you can end up falling out, et cetera. And so, I was spending so much time with my kid, like taking a dance class, swimming, et cetera. And so at the same time, I was trying to get right, so I could be around for her because I'm an old dad. I want to be around as long as possible. But at the same time, I had, several friends within a 1 year time span. I had 4 friends commit suicide.
Mm,
And so, for me, it was an extremely crushing blow when a buddy that I worked with in Iraq ended up not only committing suicide, but murder suicide, right? And so
I'm
that
sorry. I'm
that
sorry.
that really made me hit rock bottom from a mental perspective. And it was at that point that I actually went to the VA because I've been going to the VA for years for my brain tumor, treatment, but I had never talked about mental health. And so it made me go in, talk to a psychiatrist, get some help, start weekly therapy sessions because again, like I wanted to be here for that little girl. And it got to a point where I just couldn't outrun it because now, I got a 3-year-old, man. I can't just take off and go somewhere and party and come back fresh. I got a wife at home now. So
Right.
that's not going to work. I don't really want to be divorced. And so reality hit me and I had a choice: deal with this reality, get healthy, or continue down the same path. And who knows where you're going to end up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love, first of all, sorry about your friend, obviously. That's always tragic. And unfortunately, I've heard it too many times with what I do. And as I'm sure as you have, so what I want to bring out, and hopefully you're okay with this. What was his name, if you don't mind? Or is that okay?
Yeah. His name was Sergeant Slacks, and so like my guys listening, they know Sergeant Slacks. He
I,
was
I
he
love it.
was
I like to honor people. Yeah.
yeah he was my mechanic. When I was an executive officer, and if you know anything about the military, the executive officer and the mechanic, they're like this. I remember we had a chemical threat in Iraq, and so me, Sergeant Slacks, and Sergeant Balyu, we actually had to go back from Iraq, drive 50 miles back to Kuwait. We went to the vehicle junkyard. The three of us lifted an engine out of one Humvee, put it on the roof of my Humvee, and drove this thing back to the front lines in Iraq and installed this engine into the Humvee that the engine was out on, right? And we did this all under Mach 4 and like 110-degree heat. So if you
Yeah.
can imagine like the dedication it takes
Absolutely.
to get that done, and so that's just where
Absolutely.
we were at that point in time. And so you can imagine how many hours I spent with this individual.
Oh, absolutely get that. And obviously made an impact, right? Because you guys were
Right.
close in that sense.
Hmm.
Not
Hmm.
only there, but I'm sure after. So the thing I want to point out, and again, sometimes this isn't something people love to hear, but if he didn't do what he did, would you have not, did that not catapult you to change your life and to where you are now?
That was my ultimate
Yeah.
catapult.
Yeah. So
That
I mean,
was
it's it's crazy that when we think about some of the bad things that happen and really think about it, it really was a gift in a sense. Not what happened specifically, but what because of what happened for you.
yeah. I mean, it was definitely a gift for my child, a curse for his children,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
for me, it was reality smacking me in the face, right? Because like this was my guy.
Yeah.
We were close. Like we were up until the incident happened, we were on the phone talking. We were messaging on Facebook. I mean, he was talking about he was on a weight loss journey to lose weight because he told me he was going through a divorce and so he needed to get fit so he could get back out there on the dating scene, etc. So, I try to tell people it was one of those instances where I say, man, I didn't see it coming.
Mhm.
And see, that's the issue. I didn't see it coming, But now knowing what I know now, I would probably dig deeper with him on that divorce situation and how that was impacting him, right? I didn't see the trees through the fog on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing is, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. That's the problem, right? Is when people are suffering in silence.
Right.
If he would have said something, it would have been different, right? But
That's right.
it's the thoughts, and when the world slows down or stops, that in our own heads.
That's right.
So thank you for sharing that, truly. And I think it kind of leads us right into kind of what we really want to talk about, or at least start talking about, is for a lot of veterans and high performers, asking for help can feel like weakness. I think it ties in very well to this question. What changed your perspective on that?
So what changed my perspective again? I'll go back to my kid, and like it
Mhm.
opened up a different corridor in my heart, if you will. So it made me more of, and I'm a girl dad, so it made me more of a tender type of dude than than I have originally been, right? So first and foremost. And so as I thought about what my options were, it became very evident to me that I at least needed to go and try to have a conversation with a therapist, right? So it started with a therapist and ended up with a psychiatrist,
Okay.
since I'm being open here.
Yeah,
And the
please.
psychiatrist was like, "Man, you've been like suppressing a lot of stuff. Let's talk some more about it, and let's talk about some of the different types of treatment that you could go through." And so once I got in there and they told me that fact, and they told me that I was suffering from PTSD. Like I didn't go to them and say, "Hey, I got PTSD." They were like, "Dude, you got PTSD, and we need to talk about
Yeah.
some of the things that happened in Iraq, some of the things you did, some of the things that you saw while you were there." And I will tell you, with all my guys from my cavalry unit, we were brigade asset, and so we used to get sent on some pretty hairy missions, and it'd be like,
Sure.
"Hey, man, like." This mission sucks. I'm glad you're going on it and not me. Like, good luck. I mean, that's how we would talk to each other. I got, if Sergeant Davis, he's one of my Facebook friends, he would tell you, I mean, he went on some crazy mission to go guard a bridge from the Republican Guard, and they sent him out there with no up armor, with a Humvee with no up armor to go guard this bridge, and he was up all night fighting, right? So, these are the kinds of things that you do, and at the time, you don't think about how it impacts you, but then, a year later, 10 years later, 15 years later, you're waking up in cold sweats saying, "Man, what the hell?" You know?
Absolutely. It's and that's part of the problem. I think when we say PTSD, or we create this stigma around it, right? And so half the people don't know they have it until they
Mhm.
until they do, and half the
Right.
people don't want to say they have it because it becomes real.
That's right.
So I love that you brought that up. So with your experience, how did PTSD really shape the way you think about strength, leadership, and mental health now, with your experience with it?
So I would tell you that my PTSD, it really helped me in my corporate career somewhat, right?
Mm,
Um, I'm very obsessive compulsive.
yeah.
And so when you're a finance person and you're obsessive compulsive, every number checks the block.
Mhm.
You want to make sure everything adds up, all the words are correct, et cetera, right? So it made me very good at what I was doing, and it made me go pursue like my CPA, my CPA, all these other things, because I just want to prove that I'm knowledgeable. So from that perspective, um, it helped me a bit. So it wasn't all hurt. But from the other perspective, it was just a lot of pain that I don't think that I needed to put myself through. And from both a work and a family perspective, and I'm not talking about wife, kid, I'm talking about general family perspective.
Mhm.
You're trying to hold it down for everybody. you got these stressful work environments, you're suffering from PTSD, and it's just pressure, 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 pressure. And you think that you're supposed to have this pressure in order to carry, your employees, your family, everything forward. And once you go seek that treatment, you figure out, wait a minute, I don't need all this pressure. I can actually parse this out and have conversations with people about what I'm willing to do and
Mhm.
what I'm not willing to do. And so I will tell you, when I think about the different segments of my life, it feels good to be at a point, with the treatment, with being able to talk to my therapist, etc., to be at a point where I could say, these are the things I'm going to focus on. Anything outside of this, I'll get to that later on.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. The 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 learning from it, right, and growing from it
Hmm.
is a beautiful thing, and that's where a lot of people get stuck, right? Because they don't move
Right.
forward. So
Hmm.
I appreciate you saying that. Um, with your journey, we're gonna no, you know what? I'm gonna go back 2 steps. I have so many questions for you, my friend. So you went through your life's journey, right? And forgive me, 2024 is when you
Yep.
got help.
2024. Yep.
Perfect, thank you. So once you did that, again, we went through the darkness. Now let's crack open the light, right? So what did you start noticing when you started getting help? Because again, let's just call it real. It's not a man thing. It's not a military thing, but it's stronger in those demographics, if you will. Asking for help is weakness, right? And we
Hmm.
so know. I know you know, and I know that asking for help is the strongest thing you can do
That's right.
for you, your family, generationally, your family, and everybody else that's around you. So tell me about that. Is when you were strong and said, "Hey, I got a problem and I want to make a change," and you reached out and made, let's say, that first call up for a year. Where did you see your life changing by making that decision, that true decision to ask for help?
It made me prioritize in terms of what's important to me.
Mm,
So prior to getting help, sitting down, talking to a therapist, starting on that journey, especially that first year was rough, man.
mhm.
Um, what it made me realize is that when I leave this planet, nobody's gonna say, "Man, that guy Omar Ritter, he was a great banker. Man, he really did a one hell of a job at Wells Fargo," right? Like he was a man at JP Morgan Chase. Like nobody cares about that,
Man,
right?
he got me a
Like
debit card.
like like who the hell cares about that, right? Like for me, I'm fortunate to where I invested wisely ever since I left West Point and all the way through my corporate career. I mean, there were times when I was a second lieutenant, you know, when they had that dollar menu at Burger King and McDonald's, I would buy like 5 burgers, man, and eat a burger every day, right? Just to save money and like do
Yeah.
my IRA stuff, right? So it gets to a point where you say, man, enough is enough. Like I could keep stay in this rat race
Mhm.
and make myself tired and dizzy, out of shape, heart condition all high, and then just die off at like 65 the day after I retire, right?
Right.
And so getting that treatment made me prioritize like what is important to Omar, right? Number one priority for me, raising that kid, right? And if I'm fortunate to have another kid, raising that kid, right? Like that's number one priority. Number two priority is family, like spouse, kid, like all that stuff's encompassing for me.
Right.
Number three is my health, and then four, quickly following, is like my friends and making sure I have those relationships and I'm able to support them, whether I'm talking about friends in my circle or friends from that I've made during my life, especially those at West Point and those folks that I serve with, in the scout troop, right? So being there to support those people, right? That's what's important to me. At
Got
the
it.
end of the day, for me, because I went to Columbia, because I'm gonna be a doctor of finance soon, because I'm a CPA, because I'm a CPA, I'm gonna make the money,
Yeah.
right? The money is chasing me. I don't need to think about the money piece anymore, right? That'll come for me whether I want to make more or less or whatever. I don't need to think about that anymore. I need to think about my health, prioritize my family, and create a legacy that people are actually going to talk about. You know, in terms of my life, like what did I contribute? And that's a major reason why I wrote the book, West Point to Wall Street: My Journey to Mental Wellness, is because I want to leave something behind that somebody could pick up earlier on in their career or 20 years into their career
Yeah.
and really think to themselves, am I looking after my mental health, my mental wellness? And if this guy was able to do that, write this book, come on these podcasts and talk about the issues that he had, surely I can address my own personal issues, even if I just want to keep that to myself. Like that's the legacy that I'm looking for.
Love it, man. Absolutely love it. It's just hearing you talk about it, and you literally could see your energy changing from what we were
Right,
talking about before to the excitement now, right?
right.
So you,
Hmm.
you have to open the light. You're in the light. You're moving forward with the life that you want because of, and I'm going to say it, the hard ass things you went through, not
That's
just the
right.
military, but
Hmm.
I'm going to say that year of hard that you went through might have been even harder because you're really battling with your own thoughts and emotions. So I'm applauding you, my friend,
Thank you.
because
I
so
appreciate
many
you.
people don't have that courage to just take that first step. And what a payoff is it when you do? You have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable in anything you want. The first day I did a podcast, I almost had anal leakage. Yes, I just said that.
That's right. Yeah.
150 episodes later, I'm just having fun. So you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. So I really love what you just said there, man. I think
Hmm.
it's super important. The journey from West Point to Wall Street, because you brought up the book and so on. So let's talk about that for a second. And first, I want to talk about the book even more. What parts of the military discipline? Because I want veterans to really go back one step. A lot of times the patterns, and again, the stories are different, the patterns are the same, right? So I
Right.
see a lot of veterans that come out of the military don't realize all the skill sets they actually have, especially discipline, leadership, all of the
Hmm.
amazing things that you do learn, because when you're in there, it's usually you're just doing a job. So what parts of military discipline or military skill sets helped you, and what parts did you have to kind of rethink as a civilian?
The biggest help for me, Mike, is that I can work around anybody on anything. I don't care what your background is, what race you are, where you're from. I don't care about any of that. First and foremost, I want to know, can we work together? And if we can't work together, initially, I try to figure out how we can partner, right? And so the biggest thing I took from the military and really from West Point was understanding what the commander's intent was, whether that's a military commander or your boss in corporate America, et cetera. Like, what do they want us to achieve? Being able to really know what that is myself, and then if I'm in charge of teams, being able to explain that to my team because hey, if I don't come to work one day or I get fired or if I get hit by a bus, the team keeps marching forward, right? So that's something I took from the military. And another huge thing that I took from the military is servant leadership. And a lot of people are managers. There's a lot of managers out there. They get something from their boss and they say, hey, go do this because my boss told me to do this. And if you do it, I might give you a big bonus or whatever, right? So they don't really care about you. But for me, I've always cared about my people, whether it's been in the military or it's been in corporate America. And I'm a straight shooter. And so when folks have issues, first and foremost, I want to understand what those issues are, but I also want to understand them as a person and what motivates them. And I
Mhm.
want to figure out how I can help them get to the goals that they want to achieve. Because if I can help them achieve the goals that they want, that gets them excited about coming to work specifically for me, and it's going to help me move to the next level or help me get to where I want to go. And even if that doesn't happen, at least I get to look back, on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever I'm looking, and see people that I worked with previously that may have worked for me be successful, right? Like that fills my cup.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Absolutely love that. And that's the difference between management and leadership,
That's
in
right.
my opinion.
Hmm.
A totally night and day difference.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. So Omar, let's talk about the book. We're about out of time, so let's talk about the book a little bit. What's in the book? Why should people be excited about reading your book?
Well, they should be excited about reading my book, because I take you through different steps of my life, right? So there are times I lived in a trailer park. There were times that I was in the heat of combat in Iraq. There was a time where I had 18 hours of emergency brain surgery. What my recovery was from that. Now see, brain surgery, having 18 hours of brain surgery alone at the age of 26, that by itself will give you PTSD. So I like to call myself like a double PTSD because at 26 years old, I was actually thinking about death,
Yeah.
already. And so I've had life insurance for a very long time at this point. So I'm always thinking about uh, being more morbidly so, like about what's gonna happen when I'm deceased, right? So I've already got plans in place for my kid, et cetera, right? Um, so you're gonna hear about that. You're gonna hear about my journey through Wall Street. I mean, I showed up to Columbia 2 months after having brain surgery to go to an Ivy League business school. What was that pressure like going through that, and then landing a job as an investment banker working 80 to 100 hours a week. What was that stress and pressure like? I mean, I have a funny story in the book about I had a girlfriend that moved in with me, when I was a young investment banker, and lo and behold, man, like she had another boyfriend move in with her. I didn't even know, because hey man, I was at work 80 hours a week,
Right.
and my neighbor actually had to tell me, hey man, your girlfriend, she has a boyfriend, and it's not you, right? And
Not
so,
you.
just things like that happen. Now that didn't really affect me too mentally, like that was okay, but through all these different steps of life, each chapter I reflect on how it impacted my mental health and how all these things took me to that critical moment where I said, I got to do something, about this, right?
Yep.
Because I'm making life miserable for the people that are closest to me,
Mhm.
pushing them away, and they don't deserve that. And I mean, I had a best friend with this guy since 1995. I mean, peas in a pod, and we fell out 5 6 years ago because of me. And
Mm.
so we just recently, over the last year, uh, reconnected, and it's like we never disconnected because I've been getting this treatment, and I apologize to the individual. And I will tell you, before I started on this journey, I wasn't apologizing to anybody for anything.
Yeah.
And so the book takes you to what brought somebody like me to own up to it, to get the help to put me in the position today where I'm open to have this conversation that we're having today.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, man. Tell us the name of the book again.
West Point to Wall Street, my journey to mental wellness.
Love it, man. Absolutely love it. Um, so, Omar, the people listening who feel connected to your message, what's the best way for them to learn more about your work, follow you, book you, or just support you in what you're building?
Yeah, you could always find me at omarritter.com. That's my name, omarritter.com. You can click the links for the book. The book is on amazon.com. And actually, if you are a member of Kindle, you can read the book for free as well, as we run a Kindle promotion. But I will never price the book above $10, the paperback, because my goal is to get the message out there. But obviously, it costs money to print the book and to ship the book. So Amazon's gonna charge you, right? So the goal of writing the book was not to get rich. It was to start the conversation about mental health for veterans, very successful people in corporate America, and those that just need a push to go get help.
Love it, man. Absolutely love it. So, guys, check out the book. I'm going to. As we know, time is the most precious resource we have as human beings. We can't get it back. Omar, thank you for
Right.
spending this time to help our mission and make a difference. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike, for having me.
Absolutely. We'll have you back on. If something in today's conversation resonated with you, don't just move on to the next thing. Sit with it for a minute. Just sit with it for a minute. There's a reason why. And if you know someone who may need to hear this, share this episode with them, please. You can also join us at yourthoughtsyourreality.com, where we continue these conversations around identity, transition, resilience, and growth. And remember, your thoughts shape your reality. They truly do. We're out of here.
Be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.